Sold. Doesn't that intro just grab you before you even could put a quarter in the machine? First of all, we are talking about Mortal Kombat 2 here. The less restrictions I have against me, the more I can convey my point as to why it is the best arcade game ever made. I didn't play this game, I studied it, I lived it, I loved it. If it were a woman, I would... Mortal Kombat 2. The name alone gives me a game-gasm. I said it, and I mean it. If I ever see this game, I must play it. I remember one time my old band was playing a show at a guy's house, and then we went in the garage for a cigarette, and the owner of the place had like 7 arcade cabinets. One was Mortal Kombat 2. Remember that, Ed? I know you're watching. He is a fan. I kinda ducked out of the conversation we were having because Mortal Kombat 2, damn it. One time I saw it at a classic gaming convention and didn't play it because the line was too long. I was sad for months. Until, well, I realized I have the words "you can be happy" tattooed on my arm. Saved by my right arm again. Leaving the door wide open on that one. Add your own joke here. It's pretty much my all-time favorite arcade game. There was not just one fatality per player now, there were 2. And multiple pit fatalities. Also fatalities and friendships, which still make me laugh. They took this game so far from the first one, yet it still felt the same. It was almost unimaginable. Still felt kinda creepy and dark, but at the same time keep your attention. It also showed that this game actually had a sense of humor about itself, which can be amazing when done when you least expect it, perhaps in a dark environment? Before I move on, I gotta get my little story about how I got to play the game out of the way. As you might know about me, I love bicycling. This is mainly because I would ride ridiculous distances to go to an arcade when I was too young to drive. This game appeared in an oasis over an expressway a few miles down from the same expressway that went behind my house. My parents would kill me when they hear this. I would hop the fence and walk alongside the grass adjacent to the expressway to the oasis about 3 miles down. I didn't cross the expressway or anything, I just walked alongside it. See the lengths I would go to for this game yet? Not to mention the place 2 towns over that got it, and then the place across the street got the first game. I will just say heaven resided at that corner. Why do I love these so much? Well, looking back, it's still simplistic. Better simplistic than the first game, but still simplistic. The special moves weren't all that great, but you could link them together with a juggle, which I read was something Mortal Kombat invented. Not Street Fighter. Point goes to Mortal Kombat franchise. It was just the big fight to get to that glorious moment where you get to execute your opponent in a variety of ways now. It never did get old for me.
Story.
Liu Kang defeats Shang Tsung and Goro in the first tournament, but when Shang returns to his leader, he presumably gets the shit kicked out of him. And then he comes up with a plan to lure the combatants from his first game to the Outworld where him and Shao Kahn reside. This sounds good to Shao Kahn, and he knows that the combatants can't refuse a nice invitation from such a friendly leader. After a good idea, Shao rewards Shang by giving him his youth back. This introduces one of the 3 worlds MK is known for. You got Earthrealm and Outworld now. The third comes later in the plot. Though it's much smoother than Mortal Kombat 1, they added some things they couldn't have had in the first game, like the crouching punch, the move I almost always use by accident when trying to press uppercut. That's a good addition. Well, that's forgiven because multiple fatalities. If the fatality was the orgasm at the end of a Mortal Kombat 1 match, now you get multiple. I also mentioned the invention of the juggle, which was there in the first game, but listening to the fan feedback, they added to it, and now you got some truly unique combos that weren't just hitting a couple buttons in a row, like Capcom would do. Juggling requires timing as well. The graphics were colorful, vibrant, and it all still had that dark feel from the first game. You were here to kill or be killed. But when they needed to be colorful, they were extremely colorful. Almost everything seemed believable and well done, something they kind of forgot to do in 3. Later. The backgrounds still had this eerie Asian feel to them, just not as much Asian influence like MK1 did.
The sound and music was great, but one sound in particular should have stayed in this whole series. This one.
Fatality.
Not the voiceover of the fatality, but that little unsettling background noise while he says it. This little tiny thing was something so huge. When I heard it for the first time, it said darkish things to me that I can't put into words.
There were secrets all over this game. I'm not going to tell you how to get them since I've forgotten. I don't want to go looking more things up. This is a retrospective, not a vlog outlining cheats. You may only have had the 3 secret characters, but they became a part of what MK was after a while. Remember how Reptile was a secret character in MK1? Well, now you can play as him, while Noob, Smoke, and Jade take that spot. Smoke is the reason I smoke, Noob is the reason I used to be a noob, and Jade is the reason that would make me think of Aperture until I could spin an apple on top of it. Oh, and you could play Pong if you wanted to put a gigantic amount of effort into playing a game of Pong. This game was dark, but it had those moments of humor to it. Who forgot the guy in the corner of the screen saying toasty sometimes after an uppercut? That's actually the sound designer Dan Forden, one of the 4 original people from the first game. But it would be so out of place it just made sense to have him doing that. Hell, you could hear the same sound effect when you did Scorpion's fire fatality. Friendships and fatalities? I guess if at the end of a blood-soaked combat you wanted to make a new friend by doing a friendship instead of a fatality, nice touch is all I can say. Even nicer touch? Having the announcer say friendship twice after such a ridiculous thing.
Victory. Friendship. Friendship?
I wasn't the biggest fan of fatalities though. You turn your opponent into a baby. Alright then. They still brought back the fatalities in the new Mortal Kombat, but as much of a sillier sense it is, I'm still not the biggest fan. I also recently read that there was going to be a Star Wars game made by the producers of Mortal Kombat 1, and that's what they were going to get started on doing after the first game, but due to public outcry, they decided to make Mortal Kombat 2. Let me just let Liu Kang express my feelings towards this. This was a game that made Nintendo lift their ban on blood. It was true. I could finally play a well-done blood-soaked gore fest on my Nintendo home console, without a code, mind you. I didn't get why they didn't re-release the first MK uncensored after that. What do you think got Nintendo into the fray finally? Just the poor sales on the censored version of the first game, or the fact that they would have to pay all the man-hours needed to change so many new fatalities just to get the poor sales again? Well, they did censor the Japanese version. People now had green blood, and the color would just run away from the screen whenever a violent fatality was about to be done. Hey, that happened in Kill Bill as well. Why is color so afraid of violence? Once again, this is the game Nintendo didn't even censor. All those Genesis jerks saying stuff like, our version of MK1 had blood in it. Then when 2 came out on both systems and I tried the Genesis version, I nearly shit my pants laughing so vehemently. You can have MK1 Sega, but the best one, MK2, was totally ours. In so many senses. Truthfully, I can't recall a system that didn't have this masterpiece between when it came out and now.
I want to play a game.
I will try and name 3 systems that don't have Mortal Kombat 2. Dreamcast. 3DO. Oh, and I got this. Sega Master System. Really? Okay, 32X. Sega Saturn. Game Boy. Game Gear. Amiga! Lynx! Okay, I win. What was I doing again? Mortal Kombat 2 is a part of my soul. I could play it for 10 minutes, I could play it for hours. I'm giving this game my first and only arcade recall trophy of lifelong immense awesomeness. When it comes to the greats and the greatest of them, Mortal Kombat 2 is just barely beaten by the new Mortal Kombat, and mainly because it's a reboot of the first 3 games. It's even a side-scrolling fighting game. I'm so glad those have come back. I'm so sick of forced 3D motion in fighting games, some of them just aren't good like that. Simplicity sells. Arcade Pass, let's make it last, especially this game.